or PFMs can give you advice on the spending patterns that you have, whether they are regular, irregular, whether you are an impulse buyer. It can basically create a persona of a user. It can say that whether this guy is an impulse buyer. So we have a lot of us get get overdraft limits, and those overdraft limits may not be absolutely useful to us because many of us may not ever have taken a loan or may not have ever taken an overdraft facility. So this can actually create a persona of a user and can tell the PFM that what is the financial product to advise on and whether and what is the likelihood that this user is going to avail of those facilities. It can also give you information about the credit to debit ratios and whether what is the average spending pattern and all of that, and active monitoring of the statements to see what are the EMIs that are coming up, and around that it can even flag off what are the potential negative events that can happen on your account, which means that if an EMI is coming, it can flag off that whether you have enough money in your account to honor that EMI and whether whether you should meet or whether you should do some action to make sure that you don't incur any charges. All of this is possible through the bank statement analyzer that Findu, which is the TSP product, has built on top of the account aggregator information that is received and thus can be used by the FIUs. Now coming to this capital market space, which is what we are all excited about, and we believe that in the coming 3 to 6 month window, this data will be available for consumption by the FIUs. Today, this information or a part of this information is available as cash, and people can make different use cases out of that. But given that this information now can be shared real time, can be shared basis consent, and can be fetched at a frequency that is defined and consented by the user, you can make a lot of use cases around that, which means that you can make advisory on what are the mutual funds that they have invested in, what is the asset allocation, what is the risk allocation, whether this person is optimized in their risk or in their asset allocation or not. You can make use of this data and match it with other APIs to create value adds. Like you can use value research APIs to see that what is the underlying assets in which this investor is invested in, what are the sectors in which this investor is invested in, whether that sector has a positive outlook or a negative outlook, and all of that information now being available, you will be able to give significantly better advice on whether the investments are in the right direction or not. On top of that, given that this information will also, you can match this information along with the bank information to see whether the SIPs that this investor has, whether those SIPs are getting honored continuously, whether the SIPs that are already on, whether they are, whether they can be extended, whether the cease is coming for an SIP, whether an SIP is coming to an end date. All those use cases are possible and will be possible through the account aggregator platform and the PSP platform that we have built. And putting these two use cases together, which is the bank statement analyzer and the capital markets analyzer, this is the widget that kind of again will give a composite picture of that investor. Again, it will create a persona, and basis that persona, the PFMs can create algorithms and create models basis which they can take usage of the income information, the expenditure information, and the asset information to create models on the exposure, and then can go ahead and give all the advice. The other use case that we keep talking about internally is the flagging of negative events. So today there are a lot of such things that appear in the account statement that an investor may not be actively tracking, and it is possible that through this consent-based mechanism, the PFMs are able to flag off these events in advance. They are able to tell the investor that, okay, 3 days from now, you have a 50,000 rupee EMI coming and it's going to hit your account, and you do not have enough balance, and that can lead to a simple add money with UPI integration. You can add money to that account and save yourself from that, or a monthly account balance that you need to maintain in your account. So all kinds of different negative events that can happen in your account. With consent and with analysis of the bank statement, you can flag off these events in advance, and you can make sure that the investor does not go through these negative events in their accounts. And this was one use case that we thought is interesting to the MF industry specifically, or capital markets industry, which is as part of the KYC journey. It is critical that you validate the account number of the user, and this is MyCAM's screenshot where when the investor is creating the folio, today the entire industry is validating account numbers through penny drop, and there are inherent issues with penny drop. You have to first make sure that the customer's account number is not a joint holder or a multi-holder account, because the number of characters that come back are limited to only 20. The name match algorithms sometimes are not giving great accuracy. All of that can be taken care of by inserting